Okay, I wanted to give you a few quick reminders on setting up your gradebook. This is a really important step because once we start adding in assignments, it is pretty tricky to then go back in and change your gradebook. You actually would have to delete your assignments and kind of start from scratch. So we want to make sure we get this setup done correctly. So I'm going to go into my test course and I'm going to click on the gradebook tab. And when this opens up, the first thing I want to do is I want to click on the Edit Setup button. And we want to make sure that this is set by marking period. So I believe when it first opens up, it shows by year. We want to make sure that we change that to say marking period. There are two options that you'll use for your calculation method. One is total points. The other is total points with weights. For both of them, you have to select which assignment types you want the system to look at. So for example, if I'm just a total points teacher, I still need to click on the Select Assignment Types button and select the two types that I want the system to look at when it comes to calculating that grade for me. So I would click Apply. I don't need to put in a percentage. The only reason I would put in a percentage is if I was a total points with weights teacher and I could put in the values just so that they equaled up to 100. The letter grade scale, make sure that this is blank. You don't need to add anything there. Same thing, you need to do your setup all the way down. So unfortunately there isn't a copy down functionality. So I would just do total points with weight again, select my assignment types, lab and homework, and do 50-50. Same thing for E1. I'm going to do total points with weight. It's going to be just an assignment type of test, and I'm going to weight that to be 100. Okay, so the big things to check here are make sure that you're in marking period. Make sure that if you're, regardless of not if you're doing total points with weight or total points, you still need to make sure you have your assignment types selected. And then I would go ahead and click Save and Close. Back here is where I can choose the Add an Assignment button. And the first thing it's going to ask me for is a title. So I'm going to just put in homework number 1. The description I can leave blank, but if I wanted to add more details here, I could. I need to choose my assignment type, and I'm going to choose homework. And then one thing to point out, let me go back here and show you, what the system doesn't do is it doesn't remove the assignment types that you haven't selected. So that's one thing to keep in mind. If you know that you're only having the system look at the homework and the lab bucket, you want to make sure that everything you create falls within those two items of homework or lab. I'm going to put in a abbreviation which will land in my gradebook, so maybe it's HM1, give it a maximum point of 10, and then I want to double check that it's going to be added to the gradebook, added to the cumulative grade, and I'm going to publish the grade. Okay, so those are all things that you need to double check. And then I'm going to scroll down, and the last thing I need to do is I'm going to choose, by default the system will put in today's date for the assigned date, and then for due date I can simply click on the white box here and it pops up a calendar. The items in blue are the ones where my class is scheduled to meet again. So here I'm going to meet on the 24th, so I'll select that and then I'll click Save. Then when I go in, I can see now I've got my 2 test students, and if I wanted to, I could click on this little button, this little 3 button icon here. I could choose bulk assign points, and I could give them all 10 out of 10. It would add to all the students, and I would click Save. So now I have done my gradebook setup. I have added an assignment. If I wanted to close out of this window now, I could also go back into the Assignments tab, and the assignment should be appearing there as well, and here it is. If I need to make changes to that, I have a little pencil icon where I could make changes. But you'll see, and this is kind of the view that the students see as well, it groups them by assignment type and starts to list them down. So hopefully that answered some questions for you. Make sure you double check that gradebook setup to make sure that it's good to go before we get too far into the semester. And as always, let me know if you have any questions.